the king of the kings, Sir Isaac Vivian Alexander Richards. So welcome.
I love you for that, man.
Yeah, but I know you must be slightly disappointed.
We talk about that later.
Yeah, we'll talk about that later. And if I have to recheck my random memory, the man who got 215, probably at Edgbaston during the Ashes 1985, and his one-day international highest was 153. This is all random. So David Gower, how are you, sir?
You're close. I think the highest was actually
Edgbaston.
Because this is going to be the one. No, in ODIs, I think my highest was 158.
158. Okay.
I mean, it looks like a 3, but it's got a couple.
So that was my random memory. So I tested myself.
But it's nice to be tested. Yeah.
So a warm welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
And it took 14.2 overs, and West Indies, they went down all out for 55. So you'll be discussing that?
I'm happy to discuss. Yeah. Okay,
you're happy.
Very happy to discuss.
Very happy to discuss. Yeah. Okay, and we have with us, who was already with us, the man who took a hat-trick for Pakistan in one international, and at one time was a world record holder with figures of 7 for 37 in a one international innings, having beaten Winston Davis 7 for 56 versus Australia, Prudential World Cup 1983. How are you, sir?
All good.
You're feeling good, okay.
Yeah, because you said you got to be here in the studio about 1 o'clock, but I think we were going to done before 12.
That's what you think. David and Sir Vivian, I asked him about the par score, and he said, well, it will be like South Africa plus West Indies plus Australia, and then the par score in the Emirates. This is what he was coming up with.
Okay.
He's also disappointed.
Not more than I.
Oh, yeah.
Because 4 teams can't go wrong. There must be something wrong with the pitch.
That's again not bad.
Isn't it?
Yeah. And we have the former Pakistan women captain, and she was also at the top of the ICC rankings, bowling rankings, an off-spinner who could bat a bit. And she took a hat-trick against Sri Lanka. And that was again at Sharjah.
Yes.
Yeah. And Sana Mir is with us. So, sir, let's start the dissection. Poor shot selection, brilliant bowling by England, obnoxious pitch. What happened at Abu Dhabi?
Well, I think England won the toss and decided that they'll put the West Indies in.
Yeah.
And I think that paid serious dividend.
Okay.
No one can forget that. And when you have someone like Moeen Ali bowling in the power play and creating havoc that early, it sort of set West Indies back on the back foot. There wasn't any opportunity to recover from that stage. And you mentioned it a little earlier about some of the shot selection. Yeah. Take, for instance, Lendl Simmons, one guy. And in my view, at times, you can be unlucky when one guy is out there and you go big and it goes straight to him. Maybe next time they'll be thinking about a little bit more better placement. But very disappointed with that batting performance.
Don't you think that the West Indies lineup, it seems to be really one-dimensional? Everybody coming in and just like Evan Lewis, and then we have Lendl Simmons, we have Chris Gale, we have Nicholas Pooran, we have Andre Russell, then followed by Kieran Pollard. Don't you think that Roston Chase may well have been in the 11? It could have been a better combination.
What I know for sure, after this match, they'll be looking to assess things moving forward, because certainly there were some missing pieces today. Having a proper assessment of what you think the wicket's going to do and try to do that as early as possible. Okay. That didn't seem to be the case, and they suffered daily.
All right. David, we saw Ian Morgan introducing Adil Rashid a bit late because already the damage had been done, and Moeen Ali, he had picked 2 for 17. And then he came up with the best ever figures in T20 internationals for England, and very close to the most economical bowling by Rangana Herath. That was, I think, 2014 at Chittagong when he took 5 wickets for 3 runs. So today Moeen finished with 4 wickets for 2 runs. You think that this is the plan, or it was just the situation that Adil was dropped down because probably he's the best spinner on the England team?
Yeah, but Adil is the highest ranking spinner in that team. But what they did well was, and with a lot of self-inflicted damage from that top order of West Indies, the tactic of using Moeen, okay, if it had gone wrong, you take him out of the attack and you change quickly. But because it opened up the right sort of matchups, off-spinner against left-hander, you carry on. So, and the way the wickets kept going down, then you have the absolute luxury of bowling who you want when you want. And by the time Adil Rashid comes on, I mean, yes, the figures are spectacular, and he'll be very proud of those figures, but they're all down the bottom of the order. There were some, again, some bad shots played as badly or worse down the order. But of course, you always rely on that top 6 or 7. I mean, the point you made just now about people being, shall we say, similar in style, if they all play well, then it's a team that makes a lot of runs.
Yeah,
because you look at the best of them, and especially the great men like Gale, Bravo, they've been around a long time. Pollard, he's a super specialist. And you look at the best of them, and it adds up to a lot of runs. If they play like they did today, which is without thought, without really understanding the pitch, which did grip. I mean, of the 2 pitches today, the one in Dubai for the West Indies game was the one that gripped more.
Yeah.
That looks harder to bat on. But a performance like that, it just seems infectious. We're in the middle of a pandemic of rather more serious proportions. This was a mini pandemic which affected them all.
Yeah, but
and they need vaccinating very quickly.
They need to be vaccinated quickly.
I think they all are.
Yeah, they all are vaccinated. But
they may need a booster.
Okay. But sir, another question that don't you think that too many left-handers in the top order of the West Indies team, and then Moeen Ali being asked to bowl even ahead of Adil Rashid, who is supposedly their best spinner. So they have to rethink about the right-handed and the left-handed combination?
Well, they have done well with that particular batting order in the past. I just felt they got it wrong, all wrong today. They didn't quite assess the pitch as well as they should. And when you don't do that, and as David mentioned earlier, Moeen Khan was the main destroyer. Yeah. He was the one who sort of got things started, and for some reason they didn't recover. You were able to bring all the other bowlers and bowl them to whoever you wanted at that particular time, because the damage was done pretty early.
But playing at Dubai and then leaving out your premier spinner Hayden Walsh Jr., picking up Akeal Hussain, who did well, and he was like in the reserves, and he only came in at the last moment when Fabian Allen
That is weird. That's a weird selection to me, because when you are in the reserve, and especially you would have picked someone like Hayden Walsh Jr. in the 15 or 14-man squad, you would expect that's the individual you will go to. But then why would you have someone like a Hussain in the reserve when you know? It's weird. That needs some explaining to me at some point.
But probably it was because of retaining Roston Chase in the 15, so they had to leave out Akeal Hussain.
I'm not quite sure whatever the case may be, but that going to take some explanation to the folks at home in the Caribbean.
All right. So, okay, now if we actually see West Indies fast bowling with Ravi Rampal coming in and then Obed McCoy there, you think that they have the resource to take on the challenges and like meeting Australia and South Africa?
I think we were discussing their batting, and this is like one-dimensional. We all the coaches, we talk about plan A and B. And with their personalities, their egos,
their attitude,
they just go
berserk
one way. This is my strength, I'm going to do that. But I think your style of play, it decides the pitch and the conditions. You must have like top of the order, one guy who can bat long, or number 4, 5 stabilizer. And just imagine they lost early wickets and they sent DJ Bravo ahead of Puran. That's surprising.
I think maybe there could be a reason for that, because Puran, I think, haven't been in the best of form. But if things were as normal as they should have been, I guess he would have been in that. You look at Owen Morgan as well, too. I don't think he's in the best of nick. But, and you can see, he dropped himself down the order a little bit.
Because they must be watching the game in Abu Dhabi. The pitch was doing something similar, even more grass in Dubai. So
and probably a little softer because of
the moisture plus grass.
Moisture, and so more of watering,
more water. And I think I don't mind grass, but when you have grass and then moisture, it's going to grip, it's going to seam around, then you need to have a better shot selection. Staying back, you know, both sides of the wicket not hitting sixes.
Yeah, David, you want to add something?
Well, just that both the games we've seen today were almost decided within the first power play.
Yeah.
By two sets of batting lineups playing poor shots. In the first game, actually, there was some good bowling on a pitch that went through better. But at the same time, you're losing 3 wickets, whatever it might be, in a power play, puts you on the wrong foot straight away. And it's very hard to recover from that.
Just continuing and taking it from Akib, he was talking about the one-dimensional batting and the attitude and the way they play. And they can even score 200 if they just start whacking.
Yeah.
But if we remember the top of the top West Indies team, they had Roy Fredericks and then Gordon Greenwich, and then they had Larry Gomes to stem the torrent, and then they had Sir Vivian Richards followed by Clive Lloyd. So always there was one player who could actually hold the innings together.
Yeah, I think things have moved on from that era, especially as the games get shorter and shorter. So once you move from Test cricket to 50 overs to 20 overs, I mean, the great temptation with 20 overs is that you think you run out of time quickly. Therefore, you know, the sides that have been exciting have gone heavily through the top 6, 7 and kept playing shots. And if you get away with it, you end up with good runs. But if you fail, if everyone fails all the way down the order, it's as embarrassing as it was today. Now, at some stage, it's not necessarily about putting a specialist stability player in. It's about saying to someone in that top 4, okay, and it might actually have to be Chris Gale. Yeah. You know, the universe boss has been around for several thousand years now, and he should have learnt at some stage, you know, that he can actually play an important innings. And I've seen him do it. I've seen him do it in various franchise leagues, where on a day where he's not flowing from the start, he hangs in there, and when it starts to click, he goes, and he still gets 60, 70, 80.
But his main problem is rolling the strike, because either he can just block the ball, because there were shockingly 59 dot balls in West Indies innings.
That's actually his heel in the West Indies batting unit.
Yeah.
And when you do not quite capitalize getting the singles that early, and you lose wickets, you're going to be struggling towards the back end of your innings every time.
Well, Sana, your point or two on West Indies. I don't want to use the word embarrassing, but it was actually to see West Indies going down 55, all are bowled out, and 14.2 overs.
I mean, it's a part of the game, especially if your brand of cricket is like that. We like West Indies because of that.
Of course.
So we'll have to take some days like that also. What I think is, yes, one strategy can be to have a player like Roston Chase in there to stabilize, but other strategy can be that someone from the top 6 needs to bat some more deliveries, needs to face more deliveries. Yeah. Chris Gale was in the top 5, in the top 6 faced the most number of deliveries, that is 13.
Yeah. And he scored 13 at a strike rate of 100 with 3 fours.
And Pollard faced 14 deliveries, and none other batter faced any deliveries. So once the wickets are falling, yes, we can add one more person who can bat longer, play a different style of game, but even if these batters could have taken a bit more time to give themselves that time, I think even then this batting order can click and
So you want to
runs.
say that there had to be method to madness?
I think they well, if you put it like that, I can't stop you.
I mean, Doctor, you've obviously echoed what we said this morning.
Okay.
And we decided there was method here and madness there. And that was hours before the game started. History now tells us there was indeed madness rife in the camp.
So now another question before we see our first slide. Sana, I feel a little cowed down when I come across that Kieran Pollard or Andre Russell, they are left to face like 15 or 20 deliveries. Don't you think that they need a reshuffling and they could be used up the order, no matter what their style is? Because they're the ones who give West Indies all the acceleration and the fine finishes.
Yeah, I think one of them can definitely. They can come up, but all the other players that we have listed here, they have great strike rates. They have they have scoring shots all around the ground. So they have the skill. It's all about implementation. I think today their implementation was not good, and we cannot take credit away from England. The way they fielded and the way they bowled, I think their fielding was top class, and that actually put some extra pressure onto the West Indies, because one of the catches that Moeen Ali took, it was not an easy catch. It could have been 2 runs if there was any other team.
But the catch of the day was by Akil Hussain,
of course,
Liam Livingston's cotton bowl.
It was quite good.
So if you could show us the lowest totals now.
Shall I go now? I don't want to.
No, please. No, please, sir. We are going to give you loads of encouragement. The lowest T20 international total for West Indies, 45 versus England, 2019, 55 versus England, Dubai in 2021. That was today. Rather almost yesterday, and 60 versus Pakistan, Karachi, and 71 versus England 2019. So twice they fell to England in 2019, twice they were bowled out less than 100. So this shows that they have had this problem of either going bang, bang, bang and posting 190 or 200, or...
I'm not going to write them off.
Yeah, nobody is going to write them off.
I'm not going to write them off. Yeah. So regardless of the... I'm disappointed with the performance today.
Okay.
I guess the West Indian fans around the world...
We all are disappointed.
Are disappointed. Yeah. But at the end of the day, never ever count this team out.
Yeah. Sure. But I say, if you're Phil Simmons, and maybe even Lendl Simmons, but if you're Phil Simmons looking for slides to show tonight, you'll show the ones with the highest scores.
Okay. So
he won't be showing those to the team.
Yeah.
Because that'll be a big stick, naughty step. Go and stand in the corner till you get better. You'll be showing them the positive stuff, which is what they do and they play well. And but they've got a huge problem now, because that's 3 in a row. Their confidence is not good, is shattered, and you don't come back from that quickly.
And that depends on how strong they are mentally now because of the situation. We know that they would have lost the first 2 practice matches that they would have had, warm-up matches. They've lost the first one in the Super 12 against England. The confidence can't be that high at present. But I still believe that...
they lost to Afghanistan in the warm-up game. They lost rather both of their warm-up
games.
Yeah,
that's what I said earlier. Yeah. But at the end of the day, losing to England now, that's even more disappointment. But at the end of the day, I believe... I'm not going to give up hope. I believe that this West Indies team still have a lot to offer. And the way the whole setup in the Super 12 is presently, they have chances for them to recover and do well.
Just one quick point is that in order to play T20 cricket successfully, you have to take risks.
Yeah.
If you've had a day like today, your confidence to take a risk tomorrow is diminished.
That's very well said. So we'll be taking our first break. We'll be back, but before we leave, referring to David, what you said about Chris Gayle, in the last warm-up match, he exhausted 30 deliveries, scored only 20 runs. And probably today, when he got out, he was really disappointed. So that showed that he wanted to hang around. So as Vivian has told us,
I believe the Universe boss still have a few good knockout punches in him.
He always does that. In 2000
I believe so. It may be 1 or 2. May not be as consistent as he would have been in the past when he was younger, but I still believe he has a very important innings if selected to play in this tournament.
So what will Phil Simmons be telling his nephew, who is already 33 years old? Game on. We take a break. We'll be right back with Sana Mir, Aqib Javed, David Gower, and Sir Vivian Richards. Welcome back, and you're watching Game On, and Aqib off air was just saying that it's a matter of 24 hours and we'll be seeing some great results. David?
You'll see results.
Okay, David, you think, we have already discussed that how it was a story of self-infliction as well when it came to West Indies being bowled out for 55. So if we could see them getting out, and you can discuss that where they have, now they need the correction. So if you could show us the package, please. Follow West Indies wickets. So that's
faltered right at the start of the innings, first innings of the day and night. But yeah, it's a fair point. Down the order, it shouldn't be down to numbers 8, 9, 10, 11 to get you out of trouble. And even if they played, even if they blocked for another 6 overs and made it, they got 70, obviously they're going to lose the game. But yes, if there is a strand of hope, a thin strand of hope, you say, well, you have to at least try and use up the overs. So yes, there is a case to be made against the lower order as well. But
So, sir,
Damage not
do
top.
they now need to change their approach? They need to reshuffle their batting order? They need a couple of changes? Or what? How do you see them getting into the second match in Super 12?
I know for sure there will be a lot of discussions
Okay.
on where we go from today, because it wasn't good today.
Yeah.
And I know for sure that they'll be looking to improve on their performances. Some of the things that is necessary for them to do so, the dot balls, you got to rectify that.
But they,
Sure. It's not all the time that you're going to win matches with 6s and 4s.
Yeah.
You got to be able to rotate the strike. And if you cannot do that at this particular level, we're going to continue to see performances
But
like
this
that.
is also the case with the Pakistan team. On an average, in the last 10 T20 internationals, they've been playing 39.8 dot balls per innings. So, again, this is a point of concern for Pakistan as well.
There's some work to be done,
Yeah.
definitely.
Okay. So now, a word on how Australia put in South Africa today. And then we saw that they were always in trouble. They were, I think, 81 for 5 in 13.3 overs and just crawled to 218 for 9. So was it the pitch or some outstanding bowling from Adam Zampa and obviously Josh Hazelwood? He finished with 2 for 19. He started actually the slide and eventually went on to be named the man of the match.
Australia should be feeling rather comfortable or happy winning that match, because there's a lot of guys, never had much cricket.
Yeah.
Even Josh Hazelwood, he was the one basically, I think, pretty much active.
Yeah.
And as you can see, the individuals who played a fair bit during the IPL, that last part of the IPL
Maxwell.
series, you could see that they're the ones who had some stuffings. Even Steve Smith looked a little bit off key.
Yeah.
But Steve Smith will be Steve Smith. The way he plays, who says that unorthodoxy can't get it done?
Well,
But David, do you think that Australia, their over-dependence on all-rounders when it comes to T20 international lineup? Because if you see, it's only Aaron Finch and David Warner up there, and then Stephen Smith. Rest of them, like Mitchell Marsh or even Marcus Stoinis, Matthew Wade again. So they are more or less...
yeah, but I thought the whole point of T20 and selection is you get all-rounders in,
Yeah.
because that gives you extra depth in every
Yeah.
department. So actually you can't, I don't think you can sort of criticise them for picking all-rounders and depending on all-rounders, because actually you depend, if you look at it in just terms of language,
Right.
you depend on 1 to 11.
Yeah.
You want everyone to do a job for which they're picked. And if you get the best start from specialist batsmen, fine. They've done their job. If you've got good all-rounders, I mean, for instance, if you look down that side with, Smith, well, Warner, Finch, Marsh, Smith, Maxwell, Stoinis, and by the time you're down to Maxwell, Stoinis, Wade, these are all-rounders, genuine all-rounders. If they play well, they make runs.
Yeah.
Because that's a batting lineup that looks, on paper, looks pretty strong to me.
The same as the West Indies.
Yeah, well, to be fair,
Yeah.
this looks better than the West Indies.
Okay, okay.
But
But no, you're right. I mean, at their best, but it's obviously a question about finding form at the right time, i.e. now.
But David,
Yeah.
what leaves one intrigued is that they know that Aaron Finch recovering from an injury, coming back, David Warner not in the best of form.
Stoinis,
Yeah.
just coming back from
Yeah.
hamstring
So still,
issue.
So still, like we see Mitchell Marsh batting at 3, and when especially you have Stephen Smith in the lineup. So how do you see that? No, it's fine,
Well-
fantastic.
Right, there's another truism, which is, if you don't like the players you've got,
Yeah.
you've got to find better players.
Okay.
Okay? Now, no one's actually played cricket in Australia for months.
Yeah.
So actually deciding who the better player might be.
Yeah.
And again, it's that great temptation, isn't it, when things go wrong or when things are not quite firing properly, to say, well, who else can do the job? But you've always got to bear one thing in mind. If you're looking for someone else to take over, he's got to be better.
Yeah.
You've got to decide up here that he is going to be, he or she, or whatever it's going to be, is going to be better than the player you're dropping.
Yeah.
And I thought actually for a moment Warner looked to have got his touch back. I thought, Marsh has been in form but didn't look in touch today. He was playing, I think, poor shots today, trying to force the pace too soon, so he hadn't got himself in. Smith looked fine. He actually
He got
looked
35.
with that unorthodox.
Yeah, he's.
Can you coach that? No, you can't
No,
coach that.
no,
But-
no. And when
he
you look
looked
at
fine.
maybe a Stoinis, who has been out for a while as well with his hamstring injury, he took him home.
Yeah, of course. With Matthew
Took him
Wade,
on-
those
yeah,
last
he
40
took him on,
runs.
yeah.
They made a mess of it. They were almost gone. 2 balls to spare. So, Akib, how do you see Australia shaping up? Because Australia has never won the title. And they're actually considered like a little alienated when they play here in UAE or in Asia. So the way they have started today, you think that...
conditions like this, and if you have a bowling side like Australia, I think they have a great chance.
Pat Cummins, Mitchell Stark,
3
Josh
quality
Hazelwood.
seamers, and Zampa and Maxwell is very clever bowler.
They left out Ashton Agar actually.
Yeah.
It was a surprise.
So,
bowling wise, 100%.
Yeah.
Batting, I think Maxwell is doing well. Warner, 1 inning, he'll be back.
Okay.
So I like this Australian team more than South Africa.
Don't say West Indies. Don't say West Indies.
Listen, I still love you guys for whatever your decisions, and you got to call it as you see it. That's the most important, you call it as you see it, and there's no fair play here when it comes to what you have seen. You got to speak about and talk about.
Yeah, I mean, look, if you compare the bowling, I think Australia's got everything, every corner cover. If I see West Indian bowling, there's no threat. Every team you have, like South African, they got 250 bowler, 145 pace, spin, mystery bowlers, and Australia got 3 genuine fast bowlers and 2 good spinners. And I think if you look at
they even
West
have
Indies,
Richardson sitting out.
There's no pace, there is no mystery, there is no googly, there is no carom ball, anything. It's just a simple bowling. They have experience, but the quality is, I would say, lacking
lacking in quality.
Yeah.
So, Sana, how do you see this South Africa versus Australia game? Only 2 balls to spare when they romped home. And it was like a little flutter. And it seemed that Thamba Bavuma may well have had in his pocket.
Yeah, I think he captained well. I have to say the field placements and the angles he covered, that was nice. The rotation of the bowlers was really good. But the fact that really was really good for me was the standard of fielding from both sides. It was a big round and there were not many doubles taken. And that actually, I think from both sides, decreased the runs at least 20-25 runs from the total. The kind of fielding both sides did, I think that was quite incredible with the kind of bowling both sides have.
Yeah, but don't you think that Dwayne Pretorius was the weaker link who had to bowl the last over? And Bavuma actually exhausted Tabrez Shamsi. His quota was finished by the 16th over, and then Kagiso Rabada was also bowled earlier.
But I think he's come into the team with good performances. Of course, it was against Zimbabwe, but he was confident. So when the bowler is bowling well, as a captain, you have the confidence that they can deliver. So it's also to the form of the bowler also. So he's coming in form with performances at his back.
There is a danger in low-scoring games that if you don't bowl some of your best bowlers in time, by the time you get to the end, it's too late.
Oh, right.
And in fact, the previous over, the 19th, where the field was all back, wasn't it? They had long leg and third were up, and there was one everywhere. There were singles and twos everywhere. And I thought maybe Bavuma could have just put a little bit of extra pressure on in front of the wicket, because giving the one for sure, and then you risk a 2 or a 3, maybe. If they'd had another couple of runs to play with in that final over, the feeling is different.
Okay.
It was 8 to win, I think, in the final over.
I think
it came ball into 8.
I have one point to make Bhuma's captaincy.
Yeah.
You know what? You as a captain, you should assess who's batting. And when Smith and Maxwell was batting, they're the 2 best batsmen who tackle spinners.
Yeah.
So he exhausted 2 spinners there. I think he
so you
could
wanted
have
a fast bowler combination
one side
along with the
yeah. So that was the difference. And sometime when a team batting first made only 118, got so disappointed, low in confidence, and didn't know that this game can go until the 20th over.
Okay. So you agree with Akib?
Yeah. I mean, he makes a good point. Absolutely, yeah.
And if you could see fall of wickets, just to cheer up, so wave fall of wickets in the England.
There was some issue. It took so long.
Yeah.
for the umpires to have come to the decision that he was actually out.
Yeah.
And there was a third umpire.
Yeah. So, I don't know.
Amazing. That was rather.
They probably thought that he had picked up from the ground, but it
Well,
was like
no, they were
fingers were
checking,
always.
but I mean, we've done this so many times over the last 20 years.
Yeah.
The long lens, the angles.
Yeah.
Your grass appears to be about 6 inches longer when you get a long lens on it.
Yeah.
You could tell instinctively.
Yeah.
Now, I know the third umpire has to be more than just instinctive, but you can tell the way he's taken it, the way he's rolled.
Yeah.
It's not spilling out. He's not done that. He's done nothing of that. And you could have told that actually on the first 2 replays. Said, "Thank you very much. Get rid of him. He's out."
He actually caught there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he
Okay.
has to fall down,
Yeah.
isn't
But
it?
okay, fine. But if
Because he would have lost his balance.
Yeah.
if he then does that,
Yeah.
fine, that's worth looking at. But he just caught it beautifully, rolled beautifully. The whole thing was perfect.
Well choreographed.
Yeah. So before we take our break, we'll see the points table, which is like heartening for England and Australia. At least if you could show it, that plus 3.97 is England because they wrapped it up in 8.2 overs, and then Australia plus 0.25, and then West Indies obviously that's my concern, Sir Wave, that minus 3.97. So they will need loads of effort to
It's not
actually.
going to take any sort of run rate or anything like that
Yeah.
for the West Indies to be in.
Okay.
All it's going to take is for them to win the next matches and just nullify all that run rate stuff.
All right. So, Sana, you agree with Sir Wave, and we have to back West Indies, because I remember when I was growing up, we used to listen to that Windies are back in town, so they can always return.
They're in town, actually.
They're in the wrong town.
But their body language was quite impressive, despite having been bowled out for 55.
they
In the
took-
field, they were quite
They
like
took 4
enthusiastic.
wickets against
Yeah.
one of the best teams around in 56
Four and a
runs.
half wickets.
4.5 wickets. But they took 4 wickets, and we saw Bangladesh coming back from a poor, bad day,
Yeah.
and they came back stronger in the next couple of games, and the same can happen to any other team.
So now, what do you have to say and rebut Rashid Latif, who was saying that the qualifying round was yawning and low scores, and Netherlands bowled out for 44, and he was only focusing on the follow wickets column.
Yeah,
And
I
today
mean-
we saw the start. I think it's a damn start, to be very honest.
I
for
think the
Super
first
12.
game was really good, even though it was a low-scoring game, but it was competitive. We were all glued to the TV till the last over, what the result is. So, in my opinion, it was a good game of cricket, especially when the spinners come into play. I get happy.
And let's not forget that in reply to the 50 whatever runs that England had was to get, they didn't look all that comfortable, in my opinion.
Agreed.
So West Indies got to take into heart as well that there's much more work needs for them to be in the places that they would like to be. But they did well. They defended, tried to defend 50-odd runs, and they looked the part. You know, I love the energy.
Yeah.
So I guess that's the start. That's the positive side that I would have seen, and I'm hoping that they can.
And that's the spirit.
Can you
and
pretend
that's-
this is a straw?
Thank you.
Now can you clutch at it?
David, my question to both of you is that we have seen ICC, MCC introducing loads of changes. We also know that T20 doesn't belong to the connoisseurs of the game, the orthodox or the cricket literate, but it is more like for the cricket passionate, and big hits and sixes and these circles and field restrictions. Don't you think that what we saw in Bangladesh recently against Australia, those square turners, low scoring matches, T20s, and even in the IPL there were, I think, only 2 scores of over 200 and a couple of them about 170. So what are we actually up to having this tournament being played on such pitches and 118, 120, 55, so what's going on?
Well, let us not forget the circumstances as well. I mean, I agree that to get good T20 cricket, you need good pitches.
Yeah.
And if it's gripping and turning, great for Sana and her spinners. And it does make for close games, but it makes for low-scoring games.
Yeah.
Now, what the public wants to see is higher-scoring games. So, the problem you have goes back to India, because they were meant to be hosting this tournament.
Yeah.
Because they can't host this tournament, where else can you play it?
Yeah.
You have one option, UAE. So, because of the UAE being overused for IPL for weeks,
PSL, then IPL.
it's like playing. If you try to play 3 solid months of cricket at Lords and the Oval, and if anywhere in the world, any other country, Sydney, Melbourne, Adelaide, if you play solid cricket for months, those pitches get tired. So
Yeah.
So you use each one in succession. And when we watched PSL there, some of them played better than others.
Yeah.
So if you get onto a good pitch, at some stage, Aki's point from earlier, at some stage someone's going to get on a good pitch, they're going to be surprised by it, they're going to get 140, think that was great, and they're going to get beaten by 8 wickets in 15 overs because it was a great pitch. But we just hope, for the sake of the competition, that there are more runs than wickets coming up.
I think every team, whoever is watching this game, West Indies game, they got to see this ball out in 14 overs.
Yeah. What?
14.2 overs.
14.2 overs, yeah.
If they could manage to play 20 overs, we could have seen a better game, even the second one as well.
Yeah. Anyways, we take a break and we'll be right back. Game on it! Welcome back. You're watching Game On It, and we have Sir Vivian Richards, David Gower, Sana Mir, and of course my pal from the Urdu section, and that is
it's all your fault.
It's my fault. And how do you see us doing for almost 3 hours? You will just come, you will go, but we have to sit here for hours. Isn't it painstaking?
Pass with the violin.
Yeah, but I remember Viv actually sitting with us for almost a couple of hours during that Champions Trophy. It was fun. It was a great tournament.
There were longer overs as well.
Yeah.
50 overs.
Yeah. And Brian was always predicting, and I remember, David, you'll be shocked to know that in the pre-match, when Pakistan were taking on South Africa, and I just asked the par total, and he said 214, and South Africa ended up with 214. So that was like freakish. Remember that? Anyways,
I was in touch with the guys there.
Yeah. So, would you mind predicting West Indies' next total in their second match?
Doctor, I
could
think
still be in 2 figures.
Doctor's going to get himself in trouble now.
Yeah, I think either Viv should come here or you should go there.
It depends where they're playing. If they're playing in Sharjah, that's their ground. Small ground, out of the park.
Okay. Yeah, there are, I think, 7 matches in Sharjah, so overall. So we'll see West Indies one day playing at Sharjah, yeah. So if you could see that spin and fast pace ratio today. So David and Vivian, if you could see, economy was like today, bowling today, 5.22 for the Pacers, and spinners were 5.05. And then the strike rate, they're both matches, right? We have included both the matches. Strike rate was 21.6, which is, I think, irrelevant when it comes to low-scoring games, and 12.15 against the spinners. 2.4, 2.2 dots are almost same, and balls per boundary. So spinners, they went for more boundaries as compared to the fast bowlers. So this was like...
The other way around, surely. So
yeah.
If it's balls per boundary,
yeah,
then it's more balls to get to the next boundary with the spinners. So
yeah.
Well, the spinners had a good day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's the simple analysis, which is the best way to be, is the spinners had a good day because pitches, although the first pitch didn't turn much.
Yeah.
So what they got out of that was interesting. The Dubai pitch definitely gripped, and looked very much like a pitch for spin bowling. And Sharjah, when we get to Sharjah, who knows what will happen there? But anyway, just looking on the evidence of these first 2 games, unless something changes, as we were talking about just now, then spin will have a big part to play in the rest of the tournament.
Yeah, and we had the Brace Shamshi, Adam Zampa today, sheet, so he's so very right that I think Pakistan may well not have a full recognized quality spinner because Shadab is out of form and he's our main guy. And then we have like Mohammad Hafiz, and one guy who is not playing is Mohammad Nawaz. So I think we have more of the all-rounders rather than
Imad Wasim.
Imad Wasim again. You can't call him a pure orthodox spinner the way he uses the new ball.
He gets it up there and he gets it in the right places. He's pretty difficult to hit.
Yeah, but India is packed with quality spinners like Ravindra Jadeja, and then they have Ashwin, and of course this new guy which I was talking about. So I think
Chakravarti. Yeah, well, I mean, yes, but they've obviously read that race. They've obviously said to themselves, And they've been playing IPL. A lot of these guys have been playing IPL, seeing exactly what's happening, what the trends are over the last few weeks. So they changed their squad right at the last moment, and they know what to expect.
So, but they, I think, left out Akshar Patel because Hardik Pandya can't bowl, so they brought in Shardul Thakur as well. So they actually minus one spinner from there.
They've got enough spinners. We can only play so many.
Okay. So now, how do you see that this South Africa game? Can you get a bit of direction that they have been always tagged as chokers, not being able to finish in the finals? So you see that they can also recoup and come back with Tabraiz Shamsi and Keshav Maharaj.
Yeah, I mean the same point applies to every team in these first opening games.
Yeah.
Obviously, you want to get off to a good start. Coaches will say, right, let's start as we mean to go on, get a win into the book, and let's move on from there. If you have a bad game to start with, there's still plenty of time left. It's only in a couple of weeks' time that the panic sets in. If you haven't found form by that stage, in which case you're most likely not going to make the semi-finals. But for the next week or so, every side is involved. That is for sure. So every side has something, in fact, a lot to play for. And they're just learning things as they go. So, I mean, pitches might change, might not, but they'll be learning about strategies, learning about past scores. They'll be working things out as they go.
Do you expect the pitches to be better, or they'll wear out the way we saw?
Well, even though they spin in Sharjah, Hakim did mention the fact that it's small boundaries.
Yeah.
And that even though when it spins, that we have the West Indies, they're going to be playing 7 games.
No, not total 7 matches.
Total 7 matches.
Yeah.
But the matches that West Indies would have to play there, hopefully that they can capitalize. Small boundaries, and as Hakim said, big
skidder,
yeah.
I think the pitches will get better.
Okay.
Now it's a greenish side, the grass, and then the moisture.
Yeah.
And
so seam and
it has to be
and
better from this stage.
Yeah.
And if they would have started with dry pitches, then
they would have crumbled.
You crumbled in the end.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, not a good news for you, Sana. you will not find bowling your off spins there. So,
no, I
Tabraiz Shamsi, I just want you to discuss Tabraiz Shamsi because it's quite a bit of sensation these days.
Yeah,
in
I think
T20 cricket.
He bowled really well. What I really liked about him that he was bowling fuller, and that's why there was not much time for the batters to think too much, and we saw a lot of wickets going down on the back foot when the batters need to play on the front foot. And a spinner who can do that to batters, I think it's a very good spinner, where they can deceive the batter with the length, and the batter doesn't know which way the ball is going. So,
and a word on Keshav Maharaj, because he is seemingly an orthodox slow left-arm spinner.
Yeah, I think the overall bowling from both sides, I think in South Africa and Australia, it was really good. It was they kept the team in the game, both the spinners from both sides, and I think that's a very good sign for the tournament. And as a spinner, it's quite encouraging to see that they have a role to play as well, because at one point when T20 cricket came in, I was watching that off spinners were just going away, but now they are coming back again, the finger spinners. So I think from a spinner's point of view, it's heartening.
And should I tell you that the gentleman sitting next to you was once asked by his captain in South Africa to bat ahead of Inzamamul Haq, and he was their new ball bowler, and he refused to pad up, and he was forced by the coach to actually.
Yeah. That's a funny story.
Yeah.
We were having a tournament in Sharjah.
In Sharjah?
So,
or in South Africa?
No, against South Africa.
Okay,
I don't know. Somehow I managed to score 47 not out.
Oh my God!
In the end.
Oh God!
And then the next game was against maybe India.
Yeah.
So
against India, yeah.
Yeah, the captain came in, and I was sitting, relaxing
in
shots, and he came up to me and said, "Okay, pad up." I said, what happened?
Who was the captain?
Ahmed Sohail. I said, what happened? We haven't started the game, so is it 9 down already? And he said, no, you have to. Why should I pad? Yeah. I mean, look, in Zaman, you got Javed Miandad, and you asking me to pad up?
He's thinking out of the box.
Are you crazy? And he went to the coach, and then Inti came to me.
Inti Khabalam was the coach.
I said, why can't you pad up? I said, Skipper, you looks really wise man. And I'm not going to do this. Then they forced me to do it.
Yeah.
I said, look, I can wear the pads, but I won't go out.
And so you kept on wearing the pads, but you never batted, thankfully.
Well, thank God. It
Just a
would have
question I
been
have for
very
you.
embarrassing me
Shamsi.
walking in before Inzamamullah.
Yeah. Shamsi, his action, do you think he's got the highest action? I think he's a little bit round armish.
Yeah.
What do you think, Shamsi?
Tabraiz Shamsi.
That I think you need it
Huh?
to turn more.
Yeah, I think he's not as high.
Don't they normally say that if you are too high as a wrist spinner, left or right arm, you lose, as you say, you lose a little bit of that
Lesser revolution.
Yeah, he's coming from here, like.
Yeah. And I think India will miss Piyush Chawla.
Yeah, they'll miss Piyush Chawla.
No, that, what is his name?
No,
Chahal.
Chahal.
Yuvendra Chahal.
I'm talking about their Indian
That's
Chinaman.
the Chinaman and Googly man.
Okay.
He has he just played recently in some series.
Kuldev Yadav.
Kuldev Yadav.
Yeah.
Yadav.
They're going to miss him because I still believe you were talking about Indian, spin attack. Jadeja is another threat.
Okay.
Okay.
He has 3 triple centuries in first-class cricket, by the way.
I'm talking about spin. Bowling spin.
Doctor, that sounds so relevant.
And again, Ashwin, yeah, he's a decent bowler.
Yeah.
But if I see bowling, Ashwin bowling, Jadeja and Ashwin bowling to Muhammad Hafiz and Shoaib Malik in the middle, I think it's not a big deal. They can control those bowlers.
Yeah.
So that's not threatening spin bowling. As if you compare with Shamsi and especially Shamsi, he's a quality bowler, #1 bowler in the world. So this Indian team doesn't have that.
Okay, that like X factor.
X factor.
Yeah, okay.
But if a bit of biomechanics from my side, what I feel is that these Chinaman bowlers, they can't do it with the adduction, like bringing their shoulder in. They have to do with abduction the shoulder out. So obviously they have to be they can't be like this. They have to come like this. So that's the biomechanical part.
Well,
I have a master's in it.
As the bowler said,
Yeah.
that is where you get your spin from. If you're too high.
And it's all about revolutions also.
It is. The spin is all about revolution. And the highest revolution was Shane Warne and Muralidharan. It was like 3,000 plus revolutions per second.
Yeah.
So this is what the difference is,
because you tend to lower Saklan Mushtaq. He was also a magician when it came to revolutions and
wasn't that that much.
Okay.
But the revolution is actually
No, sorry, go on. Yeah.
the revolution. What revolution does is, you see this ball is closer to you,
and it dips.
and dips.
Yeah.
Would you put Graham Swan?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Swan,
Yes.
Thank you. In terms of the rev
revolution.
you get.
One of the
I
finest.
was going to say about Saklan,
Yeah.
because he developed this
Dusra. Yeah.
that's what made him special at that time.
Yeah.
Because very few people at that time had that ability. And so you don't need massive revolutions.
Yeah.
That's just a skill that comes out of here somewhere.
And the best was that he was not using the wrist.
Yeah, and he did it with the fingers rather than the wrist. So that's why
he was using the wrist. Yeah.
it was more difficult.
What was Murali using?
The wrist. Because he used to.
Careful.
Yes.
Leave it.
Are you sure? Only the wrist.
Leave it.
Please, if you could.
Shoulder.
Shoulders.
Good delivery.
Sir, please, if we could.
Do you have a master's in law as well? Because we might need that very soon.
I don't have any masters in law. So, if we could see Tabraiz Shamsi's and Keshav Miraj there. Yeah. So, this is interesting, David and Sir Vivian and obviously Sana and Akib. That Tabraiz Shamsi, Chinaman, he has bowled 814, and this is last 2 years, right? And 51 wickets on Chinaman, and economy rate of 6.83, and flipper is like negligible, full toss 13, and then googly, which is like the wrong one, 94, and 7 wickets, and 5.68 the economy. So this is like Tabraiz Shamsi's recent stats.
I'm impressed with the dots.
Yeah, the dot balls.
And when you have so many dots, it's going to create wicket-taking opportunities, because at some point, guys going to want to have a go.
Yeah, David.
Did you notice the full tosses? Strike rate of 13.
Yeah.
I'm not sure many coaches have actually used that as as an incentive to their bowlers. Slip in the full toss, you'll get a wicket every 13 balls. It's interesting to see these things, for sure. As I said at the start of the day, Viv and I, we like the instinct of watching people do good things.
Yeah.
But yes, I mean, nowadays coaches, okay, you know all this, coaches look at all these things. I mean, the analysis in the game nowadays is extraordinary. Yeah. But you've got to pick the right things out of it. You can have a sort of table the size of that wall over there with figures. You've got to pick the right 2 or 3 out to make a
the good thing about his stats is, if you look at the stats, he actually uses googly really well. He doesn't bowl every third or fourth over ball to googly. Yeah. He uses well when it actually needed. So that's, I think, very smart.
Yeah, there is a bit of debate.
It's a difference between Rashid Khan, because Rashid Khan's
overuses his googly almost proportionally.
I mean, he's a top-class bowler, but it's all about bowlers setting up batters. He is very successful, but his leg spinners and googly are the same proportion, 50-50. So it's quite interesting to see how.
Bowler. He actually deceives with the pace.
But David, I want you to clarify one thing, because we had a debate in our previous chunk with Rashid. I personally feel that what we learned was that the slow left-arm orthodox or the Chinaman bowler, like the wrong ones, so that is the Chinaman. So why should we use the term now? They're using term googly for the left-arm bowlers. I think it was right-arm leg break bowlers who bowled that googlies.
Well,
I think so. This is what my understanding was.
Historically, the left-arm wrist spinner was Chinaman and googly.
Yeah.
It was still called a googly.
Okay.
So the one out the back of the hand is still a googly, but obviously with the left arm it goes the other way.
Yeah.
What I was confused about just now is that as we're not allowed to use so many words anymore, the Chinaman now has to be something different.
Yeah.
Because that was after, I mean, there is discussion about where the origin of that term came from.
That was in the Caribbean, if I remember.
Achong in Trinidad, was it?
Yeah.
Was the first one to do that. So it's not entirely, they're not entirely sure that it was named after him.
Yeah.
But there was a link, as he was one of the first people to bowl that style.
Okay.
Many years ago.
You know, one of the things, just before we go, that I was so impressed with Chauncey with, the dismissal of Glenn
Maxwell.
Glenn Maxwell.
Yeah, we will see that.
You know, because are we going to do that?
Yeah, it will be there.
Oh, let's wait then.
Yeah, and if you could see the Keshav Miraj's analysis before we get on to the follow wickets in, like, the South African innings and then Australia. So it's arm ball Keshav Miraj, and he's a orthodox left arm, and it's 4 wickets. And then full toss, as David said, 11 full tosses.
He hasn't mastered it.
But
200. Any wicket on a full
toss. It's not working for him.
Not quite.
So it's 286 orthodox deliveries. So he's a conventional slow left arm. So probably this means that if he's successful, he's actually varying his pace or flight or what?
Yeah, varies pace well.
Yeah.
It does drift the ball, but not a big deal, but he uses his pace very well.
It's always pace and line.
Yeah.
If you keep your lines tight and that little change of pace, you just hide the change of pace, then you have a chance.
Yeah.
As soon as you lose your lines, you open up scoring opportunities.
All right. So you want to add something about Keshav Miraj?
Yeah, I think everything has been covered, but I agree. It's about the line and the length. And now in T20 cricket, variation also. So we have seen a lot of bowlers using the arm ball, the carom ball. So the more variations you have as a spinner, it's more makes you more successful.
Well, Sana, you mentioned Rashid Khan. My next question is, before we wind up, is we have generally seen that these mystery bowlers like Ajantha Mendes erupted on the scene and picked up that 6 wickets all in a T20 and just winning Sri Lanka the matches, and then he was like found out. So Rashid Khan is one individual who has been around there for quite a while, quite some time, and he still manages to deceive the batters. So
I think
what could be the reason, like
what I find Rashid Khan doing really well is the pace with which he bowls and the kind of variation. It's not easy to read out of his hand. So the time that a batter has to see where the ball is going is very little, because he's bowling fast, the trajectory is low, and the action doesn't give much. So I think these are the three things, and he's very accurate also. So these are the three things, and with whether it's a right hand or left hand, we saw that he has great control. So he doesn't have any bad deliveries. So he keeps building that pressure up. He disguises it really well, and the pace is really well.
Yeah, learned all his cricket in Peshawar, Pakistan. So, David, you have something to say about that?
Congratulations.
No, but he's a great bowler.
He's a very, very good bowler. And I'm looking forward to seeing him
for shorter format. For shorter format.
That's his speciality.
Yeah.
But of course, again, if that's what you're being offered to play, that's where you have to excel. I mean, it's not as though Afghanistan play 20 test matches a year, so they're not playing it. So he has to succeed as a specialist franchise bowler, which he's been very successful at. And when he gets the chance to play for Afghanistan, and he's very proud to do that, as they all are. And again, it's an extraordinary story which we should applaud.
Team.
Any team.
Okay.
And what a man he is.
And he
wonderful human being.
and he can hit big, and he's not developing his batting as well.
I mean, look, he can
enjoys his
feel
cricket, man.
He can feel, he can bat, he can,
Both.
definitely.
He's a complete package.
Complete package, and play
Big heart, big heart.
Yeah.
big heart.
Yeah.
So good work ethics and everything.
Wonderful man.
And if you could see, you wanted to see...
Yeah, because that to me was pretty clever, because that was actually flighted.
Yeah.
And Glenn decided that he was going to do
The reverse.
the naughty.
Glenn type stuff.
Yeah, Glenn, yeah.
So if you could show us the follow wickets in the Australian innings.
With that round action, the pivot becomes even more for the spinner. So
Yeah.
He was control of the pace. He saw him doing that, and then pace off delivery.
This is the number Glenn said I'm going to have a go.
And now I want you all to forecast for Bangladesh, Sri Lanka at Sharjah in the morning. And then, of course, that small game between Pakistan and India.
Hang on. I'm not sure I have the insurance to talk about the Indian. If we start with the first one, so an all-Asian day tomorrow. Sharjah for the first game, which is likely to be low and slow, likely to be spin. I would say it's not going to be the highest scoring game necessarily, but I'm very happy to be proved wrong. And I'm guessing, because we're all doing that at this stage, that Sri Lanka's current form will just give them the edge.
Okay. And their spinners are like Vendu Hasaranga and that.
I'm sort of going on sort of general form.
Okay.
Because we know what it's like as a team gains confidence.
Yeah. And they were quite ruthless in these qualifying rounds.
And they'll be enjoying their cricket.
Yeah.
And they'll see Bangladesh as a side that, certainly at home, of course, is a different kettle of fish, but Bangladesh is a side who are dangerous because they understand the conditions as well, but dangerous but beatable.
Okay. And your pick, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh?
Yeah, most certainly Sri Lanka.
Sri Lanka.
Because of the X factor. There are a couple of quicks, and I know Akim Jav loved some quicks. He spoke about
Laru Kumara, he loves
them, and those guys, I think they will shake the Bangladeshis up. They're not
and
at
you
home.
think that Sri Lanka may well be serious contenders in this group for the qualifying?
They may go thus
close
far.
to it. Yeah.
They may shake up a few, but I don't think
okay.
They may have, especially the way I saw them batted the other day against who it was, Namibia?
Yeah.
Was it Namibia?
No.
No.
Overall Namibia. It was, I think, against Ireland.
Ireland.
Yeah.
Ireland. They didn't look all that hot, in my opinion. So a lot needs to be left to be desired. Yeah.
And he has ducked my question: India or Pakistan?
Well, okay. As we're here to do this job, I'm afraid, I'm very sorry about this, but India looked the stronger side overall. But I also know that what you were talking about just now, the thing in here.
Yeah.
So this game will fire up the passion in all 22 players. That much we know.
Okay.
I think I say just on balance, we look man for man. I think India have the greater strength in depth.
Yeah.
Which is obviously dangerous to Pakistan's chances. But having seen a lot of Pakistan players in the last few months, I know what talent there is here as well.
Yeah.
But it is the key thing for captain, coach, each individual is to find the best in yourself for the day.
So it's a pressure.
And this is the biggest day for both those teams in this competition.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it comes early.
Yeah, it's just starting with that. So, Pakistan, India. So with a bit of pondering.
Well, I spent a lot of time in the PSL.
Yeah.
And I'm not because I'm here.
Yeah.
But I believe Pakistan in terms of the passion that they bring and the nature of the match in itself. This is a match amongst matches.
Okay.
And I just believe, regardless of whatever form India may have, that passion is going to play a huge part in this.
For sure.
In this. And you never know. Pakistan could just come to the party.
Oh, a difficult question. I think I should not ask both of you.
The first one, I think Bangladesh.
Oh.
Because of...
Shakibul Hassan?
No.
Yeah.
Sharjah pitch.
Sharjah pitch, okay.
Because all Bangladeshi pitches are like Sharjah.
Yeah.
Low, skating. And they have kind of bowlers who are very effective on the low, skitty pitches. And the second one, I think it's more than a skills.
Yeah.
When you play against India-Pakistan game, it's not a skill, it's about
passion,
the heart,
the attitude,
and the controlled emotions.
But as David said, you have to match the opposition, player to player, so they look more skilled, skilled is the wrong word, more methodical.
Yeah.
And they have been on the high. They have been performing quite brilliantly, and
Yes.
they played IPL and now shifting to this at the same venue.
I mean, look, in 90s we were like always winning against India.
Yeah, but that was a different Indian attitude and a different Indian team.
Yeah, so now they have
the edge.
They have the
Of
edge.
course, it's 5 out of 5 in
And
ICC
even
World
in 90s we were like there, but never won in the World Cup.
Yeah.
Okay, so this time, even though match to match, whatever they played, I said it's more than Pakistan-India game is more than skills.
Yeah. All right.
It's about passion. It's about emotions.
But we need one more Aqib Javed in the evening, right? Because there will be better batters than Shastri.
I mean, look, Pakistani team. I mean, if you look at their success, it's always been individual brilliance.
Yeah.
One or two. You don't need like T20 cricket. You
players.
don't need
11
10 match winners working in one game.
Yeah.
You just need two guys, one from bowling side, one from batting side, like Champions Trophy final. Fakhr turned the game away, and then Amir coming up and taking early wickets. And
Two
that's
wickets,
it.
and the wickets
But we were
two of the
playing in
big guys.
England,
Yeah.
Were the two best, Rohit
Rohit and
the captain
Captain.
Virat. And that's 5 wickets in my opinion.
But
When you get those two.
But I get
Yeah.
disturbed when I see that it's Rohit Sharma, it's Virat Kohli, it's Ishan Kishan, it's Surya Kumar Yadav, it's KL Rahul, followed by Ravindra
Doctor,
Jadeja.
it's about
So
two
I'm
early wickets.
a little perplexed.
Okay, well, if you're worried about this, just look at the West Indies scoreline.
One last thing. West Indies of the 80s and 90s, Pakistan, they always based their wins on flair and flamboyance. But don't you think now cricket is more analytical, more scientific, more methodized? So probably like India after 2007, the way they have come up, their player pathways, and now we see their stock. They have almost 2.5 teams. They can just go and play against any opposition. So it will be a tough call for Pakistan. Let's hope that, like Sabir said, or Aqib, that it's more to do with the heart and the passion and the adrenaline.
It's definitely more to do with the heart, but what I will say that this Pakistan team, this is the Pakistan team who has beaten India in a big ICC event.
Yeah.
12 of those players are in this team.
Yeah.
So I would rate this team have more chances than any other Pakistan team that has played in the World Cup for the last 3 or 4 editions, because they have that memory, they have broken that mental barrier that we cannot win against this team.
Yeah.
So that's why I will put more weight behind Pakistan. But yes, on paper India has a stronger side, but this Pakistan team definitely has that kind of a mental attitude, because these players believe they can do it. And when you go to the ground, because the most difficult part as a captain is to make the players believe that the opposition is defeatable.
All right.
So if they have the belief, most of them, so it might be much easier than before.
You're so correct when you mentioned the last tournament, the ODIs that Pakistan won in England. They were humiliated by India
In
at
the first
Birmingham.
game,
Yeah.
One must not forget that. They won the most important one, which was the final.
Yeah.
And that is where the passion came in. There was a lot of passion in that match. And that's, I believe, is going to win you some matches. If those who holds their nerves.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I agree.
true.
I agree totally.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, David. Always a pleasure to have you in the studios. And thank you, Sana. And of course, you are my pal. We'll be back
We'll be
again.
with you all the time.
All the time. We'll be back in the morning too. So let's see. We have a cracker of the match coming later in the evening today, and that will be between Pakistan and India, and of course Bangladesh and Sri Lanka. You just can't miss that too. And keep on enjoying the real flavor of international cricket exclusively on PTV Sports. Game on! Take good care of yourself.